Hey everyone, welcome back, and in this video let's try to solve a question, a question related to object oriented programming design. So if you are in an interview or maybe you are solving a real life problem, the interviewer will hand you over a prompt something like this. So he will give you a question which you need to solve, basically which you need to design in object oriented way. So let's first try to read the question and let's try to solve this program or create a design for this program using object oriented programming design. So what this question says, create a class student which is child class of person. So inheritance is going on here, right? So interviewer wants to judge whether you know inheritance or not. So you need to create a class student, which is a child class of person. Pretty basic. Then he says, define the following properties in student class. Roll number, which is of type integer, full name, which is of type string, and friends, which is a list of type students. Basically, a student can have friends, right? Which is a list, because I can have many friends, and this list is of type student again. See, we can have array, we can have list of integers, we can have list of strings. Similarly, we have list of students. So inside student class, we have a list of students. Great. Now it says, now define the following methods for student class: getters and setters. Add friend, which basically adds a friend, remove friend, and then we have is friend of, and then we have get roll number for other student. Very fine. So let's first try to design this portion of the code. So what it says, create a class student which is a child class of person. So see what I will do. First let's make a main function, main class. So main and public class main. So public class main, and then I can say that, hey, public static void main string args. And let's first read the first prompt, that create a class student which is child class of person. So I'll say that first of all I have a class person. Then I have a class student, which extends the person. So with this, my first point is done. So let's turn this particular thing into green, because we have done that. So green, yeah. Then it says that define the following properties in student class. So roll number, full name, and friends. Can I say that this property, full name, belongs to the person class, because a person can also have a full name, right? So I say private string full name. So this property is done. Let's turn it to green. And then we have roll number, which is integer. Now roll number definitely belongs to the student class. So I'll say private integer roll number. So this is my roll number. So this is also done. And then we have a friends, which is a list of students. So I can say private list. It's a list. Now in order to use list, you need to import java.util.list. And this is a list of student. So, and we call this variable as, let's say, friends. So now I'm making a list of students, a student class of friends. Perfectly fine. So this thing is also done. Now define the following methods for the student class. First of all, getters and setters. So let's create getters and setters. So let's first create a getter and setter for this full name. So I'll say public, public string get full name, and I'll say return this dot full name. Similarly, I can say public void, and I'll say set full name. And I'll say that return this, sorry, not return, I'll say that this dot full name equals to, I need to have an argument, so string name, and I'll say to name. So this is done. And similarly we need to make for this. So I'll say what I will say that public integer get roll number, and in this I can return this dot roll number, and I can say public void set roll number, and give me the new roll number, and I'll say that this dot roll number equals to new roll number. And now we have to do it for the list of this. So I'll say public what happened, public list of students, okay, get friends, and I'll return this dot the list of friends, right? So this dot friends. And similarly we can have like public void. Okay, now we don't need a setter for this basically. Okay, so we don't need to set up the setter. Now one thing, if I run this program, I'll get an error if I try to call get friends, because the value of this friends is actually equals to null by default. So what I need to do is I need to create a constructor, okay, a constructor. And in this constructor, what I need to do is I need to initialize that object. So I need to say this dot friends equals to new array list of, array list. Why did I do that? Because see, this is an object, correct? And I'm not assigning the memory to it. So whenever an object is created of the student class, I need to assign the memory, and then I can use this add, like this get friends and all that. Okay. Now, so this is done. Getters and setters are also done. Now we have add friend. Okay. So basically what will happen, see, I can have a public function void. I can say add friend, that add a friend, right? Because see, if there is student A and student B, and A wants to be B's friend, like A wants to become a friend of B, so this add friend will become handy. So now you will give me a student, okay, you will give me an argument of type student, okay, and what I will do, I'll just say this dot friends dot push, okay, dot add, sorry, not push, this student. So see what I'm doing, if you call add friend, and whatever student you give me, I'll add it to my friends. Okay, similarly this thing is done. Okay, and then we have a remove friend function. So pretty simple. So I can say public void, I can have a remove friend, okay, that remove friend. Which friend to remove? So give me the object of that student basically, and I'll say that this dot friends dot remove this particular student. Okay, very basic. So this is also done for us. Okay, then is friend of, basically I want to see that if A is friend of B. So how can I do that? I can say that public, okay, public boolean is friend of, okay. So I want to first take in a student, so I'll say student, and I'll return that if that my friends, like if that person is there, is present in my list, I can say contains student. So if contains, return true, else return false, correct? And this thing is also done. And get roll number. So basically this is a simple function. I can say that public integer get roll number, okay, and you give me a student, okay, student, and what I will do, I will basically return you the student dot get roll number, okay, get roll number. So basically what I'm doing is, basically I'll say that hey, why is this giving an error? So I can say that hey student, what is your roll number? So I can say hey, give me your roll number, and I will return it. Perfectly fine. Okay, so now let's test our implementation up to this point. So see what I can do, I can have a student, okay, student Piyush, okay, Piyush is a student, equals new student. Okay, now one thing I want to enforce that whenever you create a student, you need to give me a name. Okay, so I'll say that whenever you try to set it up, you give me a string full name, and you give me a integer roll number, because there is no student without the roll number, correct? So what I will do, I'll say that this dot full name, this will not be done here actually. So this full name thing should be done here. So I'll say person, okay, and string full name, okay. So I'll say this dot full name equals to full name. Now see, as soon as I do this, here is an error, because we need to call this super class and pass in the full name there. So this will take care of that, and then we need to do it like for the roll number, we need to do that. So I'll say is equals to roll number. So now whenever I try to create an object, so first of all I need to give it the name, okay, and then my roll number is, let's say, 1. Perfectly fine. Okay, let's close this tab. Okay, let's create one more student. I'll say student John equals new student. His name is John and his roll number is 2. Let's create a more student. So I'll say Jane equals new student, and the name of Jane is Jane with a capital J. Why am I not able to keep it capital? Yeah, roll number 3, and let's create one more student. Okay, so I'll say okay, so this should be student, my bad. Yeah, so let's create one more student. I'll say student John, Jane, Piyush, let's say Parry, which is my nickname to be honest. So I'll say new student Parry, and let's say the roll number is 4. Now see what happens. Can I say that hey Piyush dot, like if I want to get the roll number of Piyush, so I can say hey Piyush, what's your roll number? So get roll number. If I run this code, okay, yes, Piyush's roll number is 1. Hey Piyush, can you tell me like how many friends, like who are your friends? Oh, empty array. So no one is friend of Piyush. Let's say that hey Piyush, that you have a friend, add friend, that hey Piyush, add John as your friend. Now if I run this program, you can see that yes, some that address is printed out, okay, because John is an object, and objects have address. How to fix this problem? See what I can do. I can have a toString method, okay. So this John, basically if I try to print, so in the student class I need to have a function toString, okay. So I can say public string toString, okay, and what I can do in this toString, I can return this dot get full name. Yeah, so see what will happen if I run this program now. Now you can see that John is my best friend. So what happens is basically this system.out.println, it takes an any call and tries to call the toString method. So if toString is method, it prints out that. So now Piyush has one friend, that is John. Let's add more friends to Piyush. So Piyush, hey, add friend Jane. Okay. Now if I run this program, you can see that Piyush has 2 friends. Now here's an error. Okay. Well, now like here's a bug. If like Piyush has a John as a friend and Piyush even has Jane as a friend. But what if I try to say that, hey John, who are your friends? So if I run the program, you can see that John has no friends. So this is a one-sided friendship, right? So what if I want to convert it to like, double-sided friendship? Like if Piyush adds John as the friend, I want John should also have a friend which is named as Piyush. Like vice versa should also happen. So if we dive down, let's make it green. If I dive down to the features, additional features, see, if student A is a friend of B, then B should also be friend of A. So this is an additional features. So we need to implement this, okay? So if Piyush adds John as friend, John's list should automatically has Piyush, okay? So what I can do, I can go to add friends. First, I add that particular student to my list. Then what I can do, I can say student dot add friend this. Okay, so who is this? The callee. Now see what happens if I run this program. We got an infinite error. Okay, sorry for this. Actually, we should not do it like this. We should say dot friends dot add and add yourself to his list. Okay. Now if I run this program, see what happens. Yeah, now it's working fine. So basically first add that student to your list and then add yourself to your friends list. So if Piyush is friend of John, John dot get friends. Yes, Piyush is friend of John. And if I say Piyush, who are your friends? I can say that Piyush has 2 friends, which is John and Jane. If I say Jane, who are your friends? So Jane has Piyush as a friend. And if I say, hey John, who are your friends? If I run this program, yes, John also has Piyush as friend and Piyush has 2 friends, which is absolutely working fine. Now let's say due to some conflicts, Piyush removes a friend, remove friend Jane, correct? Now if I say Piyush, tell me who are your friends? Oh, John is only friend. But see what happens if I say Jane, who are your friends? Oh, Piyush is still friend of Jane. Jane is still friend of Piyush. So we need to cut off the connection in the remove as well. So I can say that first remove that person from your list and then go to that person's list. Okay. Go to friends and remove yourself from there. Okay. Now see what happens. If I run this program, now Jane doesn't has Piyush because Piyush removed it. And if I say Piyush, your friends, Piyush only has John. Even I can say that, hey Jane, just do one thing, remove Piyush, okay, from the list. Like Piyush added John as friend, Piyush added Jane as friend, Jane removed Piyush. So if I say Piyush, who are your friends? So Jane is not there. And if I comment out this code, yes, Jane is there. So we have a double-sided concept, okay. So this is done. Okay, now see what happens. Only a friend should be able to get the roll number of another student. Now see, we made a function get roll number, correct, which takes in a student argument. So see, what is happening is Piyush can get the roll number of John. Okay, if I run this program, I should get 2 because the roll number of John is 2. Similarly, I can get the roll number of Jane. Now Piyush is able to get the roll number of John, Jane, and I can even get the roll number of Parry, correct? Now, but if it says that only a friend should be able to do it, like I should be able to get the roll number of this Parry only and only if he is my friend. Okay, now how can I do that? What I can say, this is the function get roll number, right? So I can say that if my friends, like this dot friends dot contains, okay, if my friend contains this particular student, then only return this, okay, then return the roll number, else return, I'll always return -1. Okay, now see what happens. If I try to see the roll number of Parry, if I run this code, I get -1 because he is not my friend. Let's try to access the roll number of Jane, but Jane removed me as a friend. So yes, I'm not able to access it, but John is still my friend. And if I try to access the roll number of John, yes, it's 2. And what if Jane didn't removed me as a friend? Now I can even have the roll number of Jane. Yes, I can have. And what if that, hey Parry, add the friend Piyush to your list. Okay, and now I can even get the roll number of Parry because Parry added me friend. And I can even do, hey Piyush, add Parry to your friend list. Now this is also valid. Oh, great. So this point is also done. Now get the total number of students. So this is something related to static. So see what I can do. I can create a static field. Okay. So I can say, let's say static, integer number of students, which is equals to 0 by default. Okay. Now why there is an error? It says an error. Oh, static should be with a small s. Okay, so static. And what I will do on every creation of this object, I'll say that hey number of students, increment yourself. Now see what I can do. I have made 4 objects. Now I can say that hey student class, okay, because it's a static variable, student dot number of students. Now I should get 4. So I'm getting 4. What if Parry was not there? If I run the code, we need to remove this line as well. Okay. So now I should be getting 3. So with the use of static variable, I can share the variable among the objects and I can keep track of number of students, basically how many objects are created. So this was really easy, correct? Now throws an exception if a non-friends try to access the roll number of the other student. Basically what we are doing here is we are just returning -1, but our documentation says that throw an exception. Okay. Now how can we throw our own exception? We already know how to handle exception using try catch, but here we want to throw our own exception. So what I can say else, okay, throw, okay, throw keyword, new exception, okay, and what exception I want to throw. Basically what I can say, not the exception, I can say throw new, let's say I create a illegal access exception. Okay, so this is an illegal access exception. And we are getting an error. Yeah, so we need to add to the signature that this function returns an integer, but it can even throw an illegal access exception. So I can say illegal access exception, you are not friend of, and I can concatenate the student dot get full name. Okay, now see what happens. Let's say Parry is also there. And see, Piyush is friend of John, Piyush is friend of Jane. Let's say Jane removed the Piyush as friend. Now Jane and Piyush are no longer friends, but Piyush tries to access the get roll number of Jane. Now see what will happen. Get roll number. Yeah, if I run this program, okay, I got an exception, illegal access exception, which is perfectly fine. But what if I try to get the roll number of John? Okay. We are getting some error. Okay, so actually what we need to do is we need to wrap it in a try catch. Okay, so I can say try and catch exception here. So I can say catch exception, all the exceptions here, and I can move this particular line here, and I can basically S out the E. So let's try again. Let's try to get the roll number of Jane, and Jane is not friend of Piyush. So you are not friend of Jane. I got an exception. Wow. Now what if I try to get the roll number of John? Yes, I can. And what if Jane didn't remove me as a friend? And if I try to get the roll number of Jane, yes, I can get the roll number of Jane. So that's how you solve big problems using oops, and modularize them, or I can say like you make you solve small problems out of it. So this is object oriented programming design. Okay, so we have done all the questions, and last one is homework for you. Implement a remove all friends function that remove all the friends of this object and also removes this from the list of other friends as well. So remove all friends, like let's say Piyush has 2 friends, right? If I say Piyush dot remove all friends, Piyush's friend should be empty, and John should also you should also remove Piyush from John, and you should also remove Piyush from Jane, right? So this is your homework. Okay, so you need to implement this, and I hope that you are getting more and more master on the concept of oops, and you already know that why oops is so powerful. So as you can already see, we solved so many complex problems using oops just by one click. It was really easy to solve using this particular design. So I hope you liked this video, and we'll be doing more such questions in the upcoming videos. So stay tuned, and until then, bye bye, take care.